There are thousands of AI tools right now, and every week, another one promises to save you 10 hours, replace 5 different apps, or completely change the way you work. The problem? Most people don't need more AI tools. They need to know which ones are actually worth using. So I decided to test 25 of the most interesting AI tools across research, writing, productivity, design, automation, and everyday work. And I wasn't looking for the tool with the most impressive demo. I wanted to answer a much simpler question. If I were a normal person trying to save time and get more done, which tools would I actually keep? After putting them through the same basic tests, I narrowed the list down to 7. And one of the biggest surprises was that some of the tools with the most hype weren't necessarily the ones I'd recommend.
Let's start with the tool that came closest to being an all-purpose AI assistant. If you already live inside Google's world, Gmail, Google Docs, Drive, Calendar, and Sheets, Gemini deserves a serious look. The reason isn't simply that Gemini can answer questions. Most major AI assistants can do that. The interesting part is what happens when AI becomes connected to the tools where you already do your work. For example, if your daily life already revolves around Google services, the value isn't having another chatbot open in another browser tab. It's reducing the distance between the AI and the work you're already doing. And Google's AI ecosystem continues to expand. In July 2026, Google was rolling out Gemini Spark capabilities, including skills, tasks, and additional workspace actions for eligible users. So who should use Gemini? If you're deeply invested in Google, I'd absolutely test it. If you're not, there's less reason to switch just because another AI tool exists. That's an important lesson from this entire experiment. The best AI tool isn't always the smartest one. It's often the one that fits your existing workflow.
Canva used to be something I would have described simply as an easy design platform. That's no longer the whole story. Canva AI 2.0 is moving toward a conversational, agentic creative workflow where you can start with an idea and have Canva help create editable designs while maintaining the ability to modify individual elements. And this matters even if you're not a designer. Imagine you need a presentation, a flyer, a social post, a simple business graphic, or a visual for a presentation. You don't necessarily need to learn Photoshop. You don't necessarily need to hire a designer for every small task. You can start with an idea and let AI get you much closer to the finished product. For a small business owner or someone who simply wants to create professional-looking material without spending hours learning design software, that's real value. Canva makes the list. Number 5, Notebook LM. This is one of the tools I think more people should know about. Notebook LM is different because the starting point isn't necessarily the entire internet. It's your information. You can give it documents and use AI to work with that material. Think about what that means. You have a 100-page report, a collection of meeting notes, a manual, research documents, a complicated set of information you've been meaning to understand. Instead of simply asking a general chatbot to tell you about the subject, you can work directly with your source material. For someone who wants to learn AI but doesn't want to spend all day learning complicated prompting techniques, this is one of the more approachable concepts. You bring the information, the AI helps you work through it. That's useful. Number 4, Zapier. Now we're moving from AI that answers questions to AI that can help move work through a system. That's where automation becomes interesting. Imagine you receive an email. Normally, you read it, you decide what it means, you copy information somewhere, you create a task, maybe you notify somebody, maybe you update a spreadsheet. That's a lot of small steps. An automation platform can connect those steps.
Zapier is particularly interesting because it sits between the apps people already use. And that's the larger lesson. AI becomes much more valuable when it stops being something you talk to and starts becoming part of a workflow. But there's a warning here. Automation is powerful, but it also creates more ways for a mistake to happen automatically. So don't automate something just because you can. Start with repetitive, low-risk tasks. Then review the results. Number 3, perplexity. If you regularly research things online, this one is difficult to ignore. Perplexity is designed around AI-powered search and research, with answers supported by sources. And its advanced deep research capabilities were updated in July 2026 with deeper searching, cross-checking, and the ability to work with uploaded documents. That's useful because one of the biggest problems with general AI assistants is that you don't always want a beautifully written answer. Sometimes you want to know, where did this information come from? That's a different job. And current comparisons consistently place Perplexity in the research-focused category, while positioning general assistants, such as ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, differently depending on the workflow. So if your work involves researching products, companies, markets, competitors, travel, technology, or almost anything else that changes over time, Perplexity is one I'd put on the shortlist. Number 2, Claude. Claude makes this list for a different reason. It's particularly compelling when the job involves careful writing, long documents, analysis, and more complex knowledge work. And the latest generation is moving further toward agentic capabilities. Anthropic says Claude Sonnet 5 can plan, use tools such as browsers and terminals, and operate more autonomously on multi-step tasks. But here's the important part. You don't need to understand the word agentic to benefit from it. Think of it this way. A basic AI interaction is, you ask, AI answers. A more advanced workflow becomes, you give AI a goal, AI plans steps, AI uses tools, AI works through the task. That's where things start getting really interesting. For writing, reviewing documents, analyzing information, and more involved knowledge work, Claude is one of the tools I'd take seriously. But there is one tool that I'd put ahead of it for the broadest group of people. Number 1, ChatGPT. ChatGPT makes the top spot not because it's perfect. It isn't. It makes the top spot because it covers an enormous range of everyday tasks in one place. Writing, brainstorming, research, analysis, working with documents, images, problem solving, and depending on the user's plan and available tools, web search, deep research, and other capabilities. OpenAI's current capabilities documentation describes ChatGPT as a general-purpose assistant with these kinds of tools and workflows. For someone watching this video who says, okay, I don't want to learn 7 different AI systems, where should I start? My answer is simple. Start with one general-purpose assistant. Learn how to use it well, then add specialized tools only when you actually have a reason. Because that may be the biggest lesson from testing all of these tools. You don't need an AI toolbox with 25 subscriptions. You need a small stack that solves your actual problems. And if I were building a simple AI stack for someone who's just getting started, I'd think about it like this. ChatGPT for general work. Perplexity when research and current information matter. Canva when you need to create visual material. Notebook LM when you're working with your own documents. Claude when you're doing deeper writing or analysis. Gemini if your work already lives in Google's ecosystem. And Zapier when you're ready to automate repetitive work. But there's an important caveat. These aren't 7 tools you necessarily need to pay for. In fact, I'd recommend the opposite. Start with 1. Use it consistently. Find one annoying task you do every week and ask, can AI make this easier? If the answer is yes, build from there. Because the goal isn't to collect AI tools.
The goal is to get your time back. And that's what I think gets lost in all the AI hype. The technology isn't the point. What you can do with the technology is the point. If you want practical AI explained without the hype, subscribe to the AI Operator. And if you want me to test another group of AI tools, tell me what I should test next.